From having flings with murderers to wiping out a young lad with her crazy high libido, Cher has had a sex life quite befitting of her reputation as the goddess of pop. And in this video, we reveal some of her untold, weirdest sex life stories. Without further ado, let's get started. In Cher's own words, women have always been sex objects and always will be. This is a pretty controversial statement in some circles, but whether one agrees with it or not, there's no denying that Cher has wielded her own sexuality like a weapon. Her sexual history includes a collection of some of the most powerful men in showbiz, most of whom were younger than her. The first person on Cher's roster is none other than Warren Beatty, the Hollywood legend who these days is remembered mostly for his huge gaffe at the 2017 Oscars, met Cher when he almost hit her with his car. Interestingly, he started fooling around with Cher when she was only 16. However, that didn't stop the 25-year-old Beatty from having his way with her. Eventually, the momentum of their careers took them in separate directions, and they were forced to split up. Though their relationship was once a secret, it has become the stuff of Hollywood legend. Looking back on the relationship, Cher has expressed both pride and judgment. In her own words, her time with Warren Beatty was sweet and great. However, Beatty is known to be one of the most promiscuous men in Hollywood history, linked with over 100 female celebrities. Cher once said of his dating history that he has probably been with everybody I know. Though Cher was so young when she dated Warren Beatty, she learned a thing or two from him. This came in handy during her next relationship, so much so that it probably saved her life. When Cher was 17 years old, she began to work with major music producer Phil Spector. Spector was a music genius who had worked with the Ronettes, Tina Turner, and the Crystals. Once alone with the young Cher, Spector asked her in French if she would have sex with him. Spector, who went on to be convicted of murder years later, was shocked by the young Cher's response. Cher said to him in French, "Yes, for money." This shocked Spector so much that he nearly fell off his chair. He had expected Cher to be an easy mark for his perversions, but little did he know she knew a thing or two about the world already. Despite being rebuffed, Spector wanted to employ Cher in his backward schemes, such as getting her to spy on her girlfriends for him, but she denied this demand, unwilling to betray her good friends. Eventually, they went their separate ways, and this was for the best. In 2001, Spector shot actress Lana Clarkson in the mouth, cutting short her vibrant life. It's not too difficult to picture an alternate reality in which Cher was the one to fall victim to Spector's schemes. Thankfully, she managed to get away from his influence. Cher's next relationships were a lot less dramatic. However, they opened the door for her to meet one of the most powerful men in music history. One of Cher's most meaningful relationships was with Sonny Bono, whom she first met at a party. Most people don't know that during their first meeting, he was much more interested in her friend instead. Cher and Bono went their separate ways after the night ended. However, fate soon brought them together again in quite an interesting way. See, after Cher dropped out of high school and moved to LA to pursue her showbiz dreams, she ran out of money before she blew up, putting her in a very precarious situation. On the day she was to be evicted from her apartment, she saw Sonny moving into the apartment next door. Swallowing her pride, she walked up to him and begged to stay in his apartment. The confused Bono asked Cher one thing: "Can you cook and clean?" Bono flat out told Cher that he didn't find her attractive. Even so, it wasn't long until they fell in love. He became Cher's first husband in 1969. Too bad their marriage only lasted 5 years. According to Cher, their marriage degraded because Bono was a womanizer. They did manage to patch things up years later, though. After Cher's split from Bono, she was in a much better financial situation and did not have to pick a man out of desperation. As such, she started dating one of the most powerful men in the music industry, David Geffen. The relationship between Cher and Geffen was largely uneventful. However, one very interesting thing happened to Cher at the time. In the mid-1970s, Cher was invited out on a date by Elvis Presley. Now, Elvis was one of the biggest musical acts in the world at the time, but he was also an infamous womanizer. The date between Cher and Elvis never happened, though, as Cher was just too nervous to do it. However, she has expressed regret about this and has stated on several occasions that she wishes she had gone on the date. Cher went on to date music industry giants like Gene Simmons and Gregg Allman. These were iconic relationships in their own right. However, later in her life, Cher's taste started to veer toward much younger men. Among these included two of Hollywood's most attractive actors. Cher first met Val Kilmer in the early 80s, during her 36th birthday party. He was 23 years old at the time. Their connection began as a friendship, as they liked to laugh at the same things. He hung around her house often and was quite good with her kids. Eventually, they started dating, and for a while it was hot and steamy. However, as time went by, they started to grow apart. CHER stated that the reason their relationship fell apart was that they were both alpha males. She didn't want to just back down and let him dominate. Eventually, they figured out that they worked better as friends, which helped their friendship last to date. CHER was even with Val when he found out about his throat cancer diagnosis. Even though they were so close, that didn't stop CHER from dating his Top Gun co-star. Perhaps CHER's most famous relationship was with Tom Cruise, not just because they are two of the highest profile stars in Hollywood, but because of how much praise CHER has had for Cruise after the fact. CHER has gone on to state that Tom Cruise is one of the top 5 lovers she has ever had. That's quite some high praise, considering the impressive roster of men that CHER has dated throughout her life. The two of them first met at the White House. There was a program for dyslexics going on, and as they both had the same condition, they were invited. The pair immediately hit it off, and things got very hot and heavy between them. However, their relationship was quite short-lived. According to CHER, things didn't work out between them because they had conflicting schedules. Even so, she maintains that Tom was such a great guy. The only criticism she had of him was that he was too private. That remains true of Tom even today. According to CHER, she still lacks some closure over her relationship with Tom. Hopefully, they will reconnect before it's too late. After Tom Cruise, CHER went on to date men like Rob Camilletti, Richie Sambora, and Ron Zimmerman. However, the older she got, the less publicized her relationships became. That was until she started dating producer Alexander Edwards. And as expected, some people were quite scandalized by the 40-year age gap between them. CHER first met Edwards at Paris Fashion Week. After a 15-minute conversation, one of CHER's friends gave him her number. CHER was quite surprised by this, as people around her knew not to give her number out. She also thought that she and her friends were too old to date younger guys since they don't text much. Despite all this, CHER and Edwards began seeing each other. Some of her fans were so scandalized by this that she had to go on social media to sing his praises. She also stated that love does not see numbers. Though the two of them seemed quite content with each other, they soon began to have problems. But after a short break, they got back together. However, sources close to the two revealed that CHER's crazy libido was putting a strain on their relationship. Anytime Edwards wants to go to the studio to get some work done, CHER requests his services in the bedroom. It's quite ironic how the young Edwards has been unable to keep up with the nearly 80-year-old CHER. The media was driven into a frenzy when it was revealed that Edwards bought CHER a ring. However, sources close to the two said the ring was just a gift and was not a signifier of anything more.
Is it on a certain finger? Does it mean anything?
No, it's actually, I wanted to wear it on this finger because he said to me, "You're the right girl, it's the right ring."
Is that true, or is that a lie meant to misdirect? Only time will tell. For now, CHER and Edwards remain together, and it doesn't look like CHER will let her toy boy go anytime soon. But why has CHER maintained such a taste for younger guys throughout her life? According to her, they are the ones who are willing to date her. Older guys always stayed away from her for some reason. But with younger guys, they are ready to go. CHER also revealed that in the 1960s, she had a lesbian relationship. However, this was not a serious relationship, and she was just experimenting at the time. Since then, she has kept exclusively to a diet of men. In her own words, men are not necessities, but are luxuries to be enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll also enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.